common misconceptions. I think the good news is in the last several years, I think there's been we're talking to brands every day that are more educated than ever before. We used to say 3P and you'd get deer in the headlights. Now brands are coming to us much more educated. They know a lot more. They've done their homework. Sometimes they've, dipped their toe in the water. Maybe I'll just come to you real quick, Steve. And again, you've helped a lot of brands navigate this. What are some of the misconceptions you've seen around this 3P model?
Yeah, a lot of brands worry about losing their ASINs. Those ASINs have momentum and velocity. They've got rankings and reviews. So a lot of them wonder, like, do I lose that? And the answer is no. The ASIN remains the same. It's just, instead of Amazon having an offering and rotating through the buy box, it's just your authorized seller, or whatever strategy you're using that's going to be selling and rotating through the buy box. We also see a lot of brands think that it's going to be a lot easier, and that it's going to solve their problems. That's not necessarily the case either. If you're moving that third-party side, it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of discipline. But one big thing that does change is, instead of Amazon sending you purchase orders, you can now dictate when you're sending product into the ecosystem, which is a huge shift for most brands, and really kind of thinking through that and how it helps you, if you run through promotional periods, or if you've been suffering through out of stock, being able to dictate that is a really big deal for brands, and that, that's one of the positive things that comes from moving there.
Yeah, I think about new product launches a lot of times too. Amazon will kind of give you the Heisman of like, no, let's just see how the sell-through is. And if you have, everything from celebrity endorsements to influencers to a big D2C push or whatever, it's gonna sell through, and then you end up out of stock. So a lot of brands will come to us to try to say, how can I make sure that I don't get turned away at the door, so to speak, and I have sufficient inventory to do what I know this new product launch is actually going to do. Nancy, how about from your end? What are some? Yeah, go ahead.
I might just add, and this is kind of back on the hybrid, model. Most brands, and this happened a few years ago, when Amazon went to that that focus on profitability, and brands started thinking, okay, we've got to figure this out, because Amazon's now crapping out our product. They don't want us to, we're having a hard time launching new products through them. And they're not going to do anything with multi-packs or bundles or value-added services there. And so a lot of brands started to shift over to the marketplace side for those three areas. And it kind of works, and it kind of doesn't, because if Amazon can't make a profit on it, then it's going to be hard for a third-party seller. But one of the things you could look at is if you move to the third-party side and you have maybe a single authorized seller, you can say, seller, I want you to carry my entire catalog. I have 100 SKUs, and I want 100 sold. Maybe some of those are going to lose money, but others, will make money. And you can kind of look at a more blended approach of that catalog on Amazon. And then with the ability to ship product in, now you're representing your entire catalog. Your footprint on Amazon is more comprehensive. You have that control over what that selling ecosystem looks like on Amazon, and that's a huge benefit for you.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Nancy, how about you? You've kind of been through the trenches. Maybe there's misconceptions you're proving out every day, but what are some of the things you've learned in your journey?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things on the 3P side is this misconception that you aren't going to have access to certain data, that you may not have access to certain promotions. And I think that's one thing that we've definitely found. You may not have as much the same kind of data that you're used to getting on the 1P side, but you may have other data that you find more useful. And I would say things like promotions, lightning strike deals a couple of years ago, you couldn't access those through 3P. It was only 1P, and now you can. And the same with A+ content, where fairly recently you couldn't have A+ content, but now you can through 3P. So I think that there's a lot. Amazon keeps seeming to maybe segregate initially but then they kind of bring those items along. So I don't feel like on the 3P side that you have less access. I think the one thing, you know, and in sitting down with them and talking to them, at one point, I asked that question, what won't I have access to? And about the only thing most recently that they could have come up with was new product launches, where they do this advanced buy of product, bring it in, and they try to give it support to help sell that inventory through, and they guarantee that they will, you know, they're not going to be returning this inventory. But you can mimic that. You can do some heavied up media buys. You can do some other things through the 3P channel that can allow you to launch a new product. So I didn't feel like that was enough to go the 1P route.